I'm originally from New York, and I grew up in Queens and then moved to Brooklyn in middle school, which is probably the worst time to move schools, right? And growing up in New York, there's a lot of Asians, there's a lot of Koreans, which is great, except that when you're the child of an immigrant, you have a very different experience with school. Like it's so different from these days because like my kids are like, oh, can you pack me sushi for lunch? And I'm like, wow, you want sushi for lunch? Okay. I'm not making it, I'll buy it. But when I was growing up, my mom would actually make like kimbap and like my favorite kind of like japchae noodles and all these like really delicious Korean dishes, and I'd pack them for lunch, and I would be afraid to open it and eat it at school because I knew that I was going to just get humiliated. You know, all I would hear is, ew, what's that? Ew, that's so gross. Oh, what is that, seaweed? Now kids are like packing, like non-Korean kids are packing kim, that's what we call the seaweed, like the fried seaweed, and eating it as snacks. So like I'm kind of like it's like upside down world for me sometimes when I think about it. But that experience is a wonderful one when I think about it for my kids. You know, having that ability to say my food is being accepted now, which I never had that ability before. So I think that it was maybe being a Korean American when Korean Americans were just coming in. They weren't as many Korean Americans before my parents came. So I think that that made a big difference in terms of like my experience and also how I was relating with the world around me. You know, because it just wasn't, people didn't know they didn't even know Korea was a country. You're either Chinese or Japanese, which was another long story about having to deal with issues about, you know, being that Asian kid that nobody knew how they could relate to, being called the, you know, horrible words, being called chink and Jap and what's Korea? So like I think that that's all changed now, and I'm so grateful for that. And at the same time, some things just still stay the same, which is why I think like we have to keep doing better, like teaching our kids and being more accepting of other experiences. And that getting better is really only from exposure and experience and learning.